You're listening to Garibaldi Red, a Nottingham Forest podcast brought to you by Nottinghamshire Live.
Hello and welcome to Garibaldi Red, the Nottingham Forest podcast from Nottinghamshire Live. We are here to review very briefly, or not too briefly, hopefully, Forest 1, Rotherham 1, and a little look ahead to Derby, although there'll be a proper podcast on that later in the week. I'm Matt Davies, hosting as ever, joined by Reds fan and Forza Garibaldi co-founder Greg Mitchell. Greg, how are you this evening? What are your emotions like after that?
It was exhausting, wasn't it? That second half, God, I mean, it's the first time I felt connected to a game all season. That second half was just a roller coaster. First was quite forgettable, but once they scored, we just turned it on and it was wave after wave. And I just cannot believe we haven't got 3 points.
Yeah, it did seem to. Yeah, we'll talk about Graven's miss more. Well, actually, let's talk about Graven's miss now. It was a bit like Torres when he was having, was it for Chelsea, that awful time when he went through and left-footed, stabbed it into the side netting. I mean, it was just a terrible miss, wasn't it? There's nothing else you can say. That Forest should have won the game with Graven's miss, really.
I don't know why I'm smiling. I'd stood up. I'd already started to walk out the room celebrating. I couldn't believe it, but it happens. And, you know, he's a goal scorer. He's a natural goal scorer. And you kind of get to the point where we rely on him that often. You just think that's a goal. And, God, what an awakening that was, because didn't expect it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult straight after the game to be, the emotions, like you say, are running a bit high. Are you more glass half full or glass half empty after the performance and the result tonight?
This early in the season, when you look at the table, that was a bottom of the table clash, and there was only ever one team in it. We just dominated them. So you have to be a glass half full. It's such a long season, so many games in October, November. We play like that. We did in the second half, every game, then we win 9 out of 10 times. So, yeah, glass half full, super long season left, and we're going to pick up a lot of points playing like that. But we can't just expect to win. We're at the bottom for a reason at the minute. But, like I say, second half, it was so much better.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the response to goal was really good. And if this game had happened 3 or 4 more weeks under Houghton, then I think Forest might well have gone on to win that 3 or 4-1. So I'm kind of hoping it's another step in the right direction from the Blackburn game, and obviously going into the Derby game. I mean, if Forest beat Derby, then you take 7 points from those 3 games. It's a big if, but overall, I agree with you. I thought for the most part, the response to goal was really good. Forest had a real dire spell in a pretty dire game with so many bitty free kicks and everything until Rotherham scored. But at least they didn't go under. I think under Lamucci they would have gone under there. What did you make of the team selection, Greg? Unchanged from Blackburn. Was that wise for you?
Yeah, I was really glad to see that. They deserved it. I was really surprised to see that the bench didn't change that. You know, we all expected maybe Knockout would be ready, but that was the surprising thing for me. Keeping the same team was the right decision, because they'd sat on the bus after a 90th minute winner. They must have all been absolutely buzzing. But shame, the bench couldn't have been changed a little bit. But when the subs did come on, again, it put another gear into Forest this evening. So it's good to have that many options.
Yeah, I mean, I was pleased he didn't make changes, but it's sprung my mind back to the Charlton game, the beginning of the end for Lamucci. I thought when he made all those 5 changes after the Leeds game, I think it might have sent out the wrong message if he'd made a ton of changes. Although I do wonder if some of those will be fit to play Derby, but you've got Knockout to come in and players like that. So, yeah, I was pleased with it. I missed the first 10 minutes. I was putting my kids to bed, so I should be honest about that. But people tell me that. Did they play well? People told me that was the best of the first half.
Okay, yeah. The first 10 minutes was, and then it just went completely flat. I just thought the first half, I mean, it didn't help that I was listening on the red button, and I think the commentator was a bit, as bored as we were. But I turned the Radio Nottingham commentary on second half, and it made a hell of a difference. But it did seem a bit flat that first half. A good start. But you did start to wonder, oh God, are we going to... Well, I never thought Rotherham would score. I thought, is this going to be a 0-0? But of course, the good thing was when Rotherham scored so early in the second half, it really set us going. And it's given us confidence, I think, to show this is how we can play. But Rotherham are a poor team, and luckily for us, Friday we're playing another team right at the bottom. So hopefully,
to be fair, there is a run of games coming up now that might do quite well for Forest. I'll just put a couple of comments up because someone said, "Are you actually reading the comments?" And yes, I am. Dan Sempers thought Forest did well second half. Arta has to start. Not sure what Freeman gives to the team. And Greg Howard, it's not where you start, where you finish. It's important. A long season. Still think we got better 4-4-2. There's a couple of interesting points there, I thought. I mean, Arta, again, I thought looked bright. Do you see him really having to start the next game?
Yeah, because you also hear from the Blackburn game, you could hear him on the sideline. He's a character, and again, he's a potential captain for this season or next if we have him. But I think he has to start, and it does worry me slightly that Joe Lolly did so much again tonight. He was absolutely everywhere, and you read the stories earlier today about his injury issues, and you think he needs to be a player that stays fit for us, and it must have took him out of it tonight. So let's just hope they're getting the ice bath and they're all okay for Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think Knockout would start on Friday, but seeing Lolly looking absolutely shattered at the end was a concern. Because I actually thought he played really well second half, and he kind of led the charge after Forest went behind. He was probably Forest's probably their best player, I thought. The other point that was your namesake Greg made about 4-4-2. I'm not sure it quite was 4-4-2 because Taylor was pushed quite wide to the right, but it was certainly two strikers on the pitch at the same time. Did you think that was a good way to go? Forest did create I'm going to swear then, a lot of chances, didn't they?
Yeah, definitely. Taylor must be wondering when he's going to get his start, and it might well be Friday, sorry, because he's lively, he's quick. Graben again, he just didn't have that killer touch tonight, did he? But it will come because he's proven he's an absolutely brilliant championship striker. But if Taylor playing helps Graben, or even if Taylor starts and Graben doesn't on Friday, we've got that many options. It's only going to be a good thing.
Let's talk Ryan Yates. I'm a bit of a Yates fan, and I've made that pretty obvious. I thought he was very good against Blackburn, and he was Forest's best player against Cardiff before Lamucci went. What did you make of him tonight? Because he should have scored that header. He had another chance that was blocked. Other than that, I thought he did quite well. The first comment here was that Yates was rubbish, and the third comment was no, he wasn't. So where did you stand on Yates tonight and Yates in general?
Yates, he's just one of our players who's an easy target, and he's not the modern style of player, is he, that's going to do everything and be like a flamboyant midfielder. But he played excellent against Blackburn. Like, even his haters couldn't really deny that. I'm sure some of them were a bit upset about it, but he didn't play as well tonight. There were a couple of mistakes and issues, but that header off the crossbar, you can't really blame him for that. And the point blank shot, he hit it as hard as he could, and there's someone in the way, but not as good as Saturday. But I'm glad he's playing. I'm glad he's in the team. I'm glad he's in the squad. There's rumours of Millwall being interested in him again in January, and you think it'd be a shame. It'd be a shame to see him go, even if he isn't our best player in that position at the minute. The more minutes that lad gets for Forest, the better, because in the long run, he's going to be a top player.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I thought he was better than Colback tonight. And if you had to make one change to bring Arta in on Friday, then I'd probably pick Yates ahead of Colback on tonight. I don't know if Colback was struggling with his injury because he was pretty good in the first half against Blackburn. He wasn't quite as good tonight. He wasn't quite as on the pace. What about Graben then? Because there's a lot of people slagging Graben off. Obviously, it was an awful miss, as we've discussed, but he did set the goal up. And he was involved in the play a fair bit. Do you think he's just lacking a bit of confidence? Do you think he needs leaving out? What's your views on Graben's form this season?
It's not gone for him so far. And it amazes me, and you noticed it even more tonight, when he is our lone striker, the amount of time he spends way into our half. And it's like he's feeling like he's got to help out the midfield a lot more as well. And he should just be concentrating on looking the other way, which is a shame. So he's such a good player. It's mad to say leave him out on Friday, but is he tired and is Taylor absolutely raring to go? We never see training, so we haven't got a clue, but I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor takes the start on Friday.
Yeah, I agree. It's a difficult one with Graben, isn't it? I mean, ironically, he's had a load of chances this season. He's missed them all. Last season, he didn't actually miss that much at all. He was pretty accurate in front of goal, but his form, maybe it's his confidence, I don't know, does seem to deserted him. So perhaps if you're going to play one up front against Derby, perhaps Taylor would be the one. His back to goal play was quite good again tonight, I thought. What about another player who stood out, I thought, tonight was Christie, who got a lot of praise for his performance at Blackburn. I didn't think he was quite as good at Blackburn, but I thought he was very good again tonight. Is he forming potentially quite a good link up with Lolly and that sort of Matty Cash vein, even though you'll never quite replicate that?
Yeah, I did think during the game, God, imagine if we had Matty Cash now, because his sporadic pace and you're filling some, well, not exactly, you're filling some top players' boots, aren't you, there? He's played well. He's unlucky with the penalty. I think it was a penalty, but he didn't really go in hard, did he? And I don't know. He's a good player. I think most of the signings that have played so far have not really got a bad word to say about them. And we've got a hell of a lot of players that none of us have seen yet ready to come on. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks. And I suppose that's the downside of making so many signings, that we're not going to get that balanced squad yet.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that about the signings. I thought McKenna was good again tonight, and Figueiredo looks a lot more confident alongside McKenna because his form was pretty poor. I was surprised that he played against Blackburn, but he's been good the last two games. And Yanu, I'm going to have to learn to say his name. Yanu, he was good again. His crossing was mostly good. He put a couple of really good crosses in. So they do seem to have struck on a back four there. What do we think about, let's look ahead a little bit to Derby then. Are you feeling pretty confident even though they couldn't put Rotherham away tonight?
Yeah, they're going to be annoyed after tonight. They're going to be fuming in that dressing room. Thankfully, we didn't lose, so their heads aren't going to go down, but they're going to be raring to go and get backing out on our own pitch again. Honestly, and I know it's not just because it's them, I can't see anything other than us beating them on Friday. They've lost again tonight. They're not too keen on their manager. They've got issues with players, haven't they? So you just think we get them, and we need to go hard. We need to really go at them straight away, like we have in the second half against Rotherham tonight, because they're the same kind of team. They're right down there. There's no reason that they're going to be any better than Rotherham were tonight.
Yeah, I mean, my main hope now is that they don't sack Koku, because they do feel like with Rooney missing and Koku seems to be on a downward spiral. They feel a bit like Forest did a week or two ago. So, and Forest being at home on Friday, do you think that makes much of a difference? Obviously, no crowd, but familiar turf. Does that still give Forest an edge being at home?
Definitely. We're in our setting, we're in our changing rooms. They've got to walk around the side, leave them out in the cold for a bit. It's definitely going to help us. I wish we could be there. It's so sad seeing the ground the way it is. And you hear stories like the theatres, some of them are opening up again, which is amazing. That's fantastic. But how they can't decide if they're allowing things like that to happen, that they can't let a limited amount of fans in. Because it would be incredible on Friday night under the lights. And I kept seeing my own seat in the stand tonight, and it don't half make you sad. I know there's a hell of a lot of worse things going on, but it can give you so much joy, can't it, being down there? And I can't help but think Friday's going to be one of those memorable nights that you wish you would have been there.
Yeah, I mean, it's only personal opinion, but I don't understand how they can't have even 500 people in each stand and not have procedures in place. It does seem mad when you see those pictures of the Albert Hall with that concert a couple of weeks ago. It's pretty depressing. It's obviously having a big implication on football, below the Premier League. Are you feeling pretty optimistic then about the season still? Obviously only 4 points on the board from 6 games, which is poor, obviously. But do you feel now Forest are on the right track after 2 games under Houghton? You like what you see?
He can't have changed that much, other than a bit of confidence and seeing some of these new players. I did feel sorry for Sabri, and I'm really glad that he's already got work elsewhere. But it's such a long season ahead now. I'll never forget when I think it was Palace were in the bottom three at Christmas and ended up going up. So, the start of the season's figuring out who's good and who's not and how you're going to play. And then we really need to get going. I think my friend said it's something like 12 games now between now and the end of November or something. It's something a ridiculous amount. So we've got so many games, so many points that the table is completely irrelevant at the minute.
Yeah, I've got Forest fixtures on my phone here. I'll just bring them up. So obviously it's Derby at home on Friday, Luton, Middlesbrough away, Coventry at home, Wickham at home, then an international break, then Barnsley at home, and then you're looking at like November the 24th, Bournemouth away, where you look at a game and think, that's one that if Forest get a point, that's a good result.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of points to play for now, aren't they? Do you think Houston's going to have to utilise this ridiculously big squad to try and get those points on the board?
Yeah, that's the benefit of having this squad, isn't it? That, I think 15 new players is just utter madness, you'd think. However, they've been here 3 or 4 years, the owners, and they've seen how crazy this championship is and how we've struggled before by not having the right players on the bench. So it'll be tough for him to keep them all happy, but at the end of the day, the professional footballers, if they're not picked, they need to just get ready for the next game, don't they? So, yeah, we've just got to keep going for it. And like I say, we're unbeaten in 2 now. So once some of these players find their feet at our own ground, there should be no stopping them.
Yeah, Ashad Boston here makes a good point about shouldn't start playing when we go behind, the same as last season. I think that's fair, and especially against Derby, do you think they need to go out and go at them from the off and try and get the first goal?
Yeah, we're so used to being a team that even at home now, and this is after the Sabri era, that we like play a whole game at home and only have 35% possession. So those players that have been involved last season, it's going to take a lot of time for them to start getting used to Chris Hughton's style of play, whichever that's going to be, because he was completely different in the Championship to how he played in the Premier League. So yeah, it is going to take some time, but we have got to go straight away against Derby. And I think they will. I think they'll continue how they ended at Rotherham, because they're going to be frustrated. They're going to be annoyed about how they haven't got that win. So they're going to be, like I say, all fired and ready to go.
Yeah, I hope they go at them. Derby's confidence must be, they should be pretty chins on the floor at the moment. Right, I think that just about brings us to a conclusion. Well, like I said, we'll do a proper podcast later in the week looking at that Derby game. So thanks for everyone who watched along. A very good number of people watching. Greg, thank you for responding to my WhatsApp in the second half and jumping on at very short notice. I do appreciate it.
No problem.
So yeah, thank you everyone. We'll be back later in the week. Hopefully Forest can kick on from this positive performance, if not quite the positive result we wanted, and get that win against Derby. Thanks very much. We'll see you soon.